Good evening, welcome to another episode of Grant Talks Funny Bits. We have a fabulous guest lined up for you tonight, and hopefully we won't have any technical issues this week. This may be the first week that this happens, but I doubt it very much. This week we are trying to actually live stream simultaneously to Facebook and to YouTube at the same time, and we're doing this because Facebook's kind of changed how it works, everything. Just as Grant's getting comfortable with the technology, Facebook changes and it kind of throws everything off. Each week, we bring you an expert in stage hypnosis from around the world, and each of our guests have really brought something to the table. If you are considering working in stage hypnosis, performance hypnosis, or just adding those extra tools to your toolbox as a hypnotherapist, then tune in each week or check out the YouTube site and subscribe and click the bell on our YouTube. And there is lots and lots of knowledge for some absolute experts in the field. And tonight's guest is absolutely no exception. He not only is a performance hypnotist, he has taken it to the national television in his country and is one of the few people to really bring that game up in his country. He's got some great stories to tell you and some great advice. And please, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you want any advice, hit up in the comment section and we will absolutely make sure that our guest sorts that out for you. So I'm going to play this little clip, and then after that, welcome to Grant Talks Funny Bits, Artur Makieła. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please tap your keyboard, make some noise for the man, the myth, the legend, Artur. Let's have a look. Let's see if we can make it work this time. There it worked.
Hello, good evening.
Oh, good evening. How are you?
Fine, thank you very much. I really like your pronunciation.
Oh, I am.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good.
It was close. It was close. I didn't offend you, so that's good for me. I had a guest, and I'm not going to say who it is. I was running some promo for the show for a good week in the run up to it, and then another hypnotist contacted me and went, "Grant, you probably want to actually look at how you've spelt their name." And on all the promo, I'd got their name massively wrong, not a little bit, massively wrong. And it's like, I don't even know how it's happened. We have got a couple of comments coming in already there. Eddie Duncan says, "Cool t-shirt." Thank you, Eddie. The t-shirt is from, there we go. It's from themindspiral.com. It's a hypnosis apparel t-shirt company set up by Kaz Wiley, who's a very, very amazing UK hypnotist. And she's got some really cool hypnosis apparel. I think she's got face masks and everything. We could do that. We've got some comments here. We've got John Thompson from Somerset. Somerset's a beautiful part of the UK. Jason Simmons says, "Good evening, Grant. I hope you are well." Jason's a UK stage hypnotist who's absolutely brilliant. And you guys have got a connection as well with Chris. I know Chris is mentoring Jason as well. Jason's a great guy, and I believe this gentleman may be your friend. I think it's Dormac.
Yes.
Yes, there we go. So
that's from my side.
Brilliant. There's going to be some interesting pronunciations as well tonight. So the premise of the show is Grant Talks Funny Bits. There's a lot of podcasts. There's a lot of channels, there's a lot of trainings, there's a lot of stuff out there about hypnosis that tends to focus on either the training element, the serious side, the techniques, and all that type of stuff. For me, it's about the performance side. You know, we have a phenomenal trade that we do, and we do it the world over, and it's about pushing the positives for that, and it's about the people behind that as well. So start at the beginning. You know, what were you before you were the stage hypnotist you are today? When was it that you kind of decided? What was your initial thinking to go, "Oh, that's what I want to do"?
Well, I was working as a journalist for several years, and I had a lot of issues with my mental feelings, and that was a time that I thought that I had something like a depression, and I was looking for any solutions. And someday, a friend of mine showed me something called NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and I just started to listening about it. And the way from NLP to to hypnosis is quite short. So I started just to discover what is going on about it. And after that, I found hypnosis. So I started to thinking, okay, I heard about hypnosis, but is that real, or is that a fake? We all had some kind of thinking some time ago that I have to touch it, I have to feel it, I have to check it. And that was about 12 years ago, and I am from Poland. So in that time, there was not so many hypnotists. Actually, there were just a few, like 3 or 4 perhaps then, but no one has been doing stage hypnosis. It was just a kind of therapist or the trainers. But someday I found that there will be in Katowice stage hypnosis show performed by Christopher Caress. I had no idea who Christopher Caress was then, but I just bought a ticket and went for the show. I get into the theater and just sat on some place, and I was pretty curious, but I also was a little bit skeptic. And yeah, I was sitting. Some guy sat just next to me, and we start to talk a little bit. And I said, I don't know what to expect. Actually, I have a curiosity, but also a skepticism. And he said me the same. That yeah, he as well. And after that, the show began. And in next 5, 6, or maybe 8 minutes, this guy sitting next to me was already on stage, and after a few next minutes, he was laying on this stage, and some strange things were doing there. So I was just sitting and okay, is that a fake or is it real? But I think it is impossible that this guy sitting next to me was also just a fake guy, like to, somewhere between the spectators to prove that it's working.
Yeah.
And what I saw during this show was like blowing my mind. And I remember when I was coming back from the show, I was traveling 200 kilometers from one city to another by train. I had some, a camera, like camera 12 years ago, and I had some photos from the show on that. It was absolutely, I couldn't see nothing in that photos. It was dark in this room, and I saw just kind of shapes. But I was staring at that all the way home and thinking, that what I saw were 2 choices. This is totally fake and it has no sense, it's bullshit, or this is the best thing I have ever seen in my life. And I started to searching what is going on, and when I understood that this is the best thing I have ever seen in my life, I started to finding a teacher in Poland and start to work with that. And now we are 12 years later, and all these TV shows and all the hypnosis shows on the huge scenes and huge events is just my reality right now, and this is something really amazing for me.
I remember, I suppose, as every hypnotist does, I remember that first show, that first feeling when you go through, you know the knowledge, and you go through the processes in your head, and then they respond to that first suggestion, and in your mind you are kind of like shit, this actually it's working. And I still get that to a point now. Tell me about your first show, that moment. Tell me about your first ever show.
My first show ever, well, it was free of charge show. When I spent some time with hypnosis, and there was almost none of stage hypnosis in Poland at all. There was one guy that was doing that. So I started to searching for someone that I could share the stage. When you are just coming on stage, you feel a little bit better. And I find a guy in my city in Wrocław, and we decided to check if we will be able to host this hypnosis show and how it will be done. So we arranged a meeting in some kind of club or coffee club, some places like like a coffee place. And we invited about 40 people, I think we had there. And starting to do this show and to do all the susceptibility, I cannot say this word all the time, tests and the pre-talk and routines. But my first show was like 30 minutes of explaining the process, and after that we will show you something. Nowadays, when you are hosting the show, that it's just last 1 hour from the beginning till the end, it's hard to imagine for me, like it looked like this way and people could see that. But yeah, first shows was like we were explaining the process, and after that presenting some kind of routines, but in a very different way as it is nowadays, of course. And it was pretty successful show, so we decided to make another, but next time we were just selling tickets. And on the second show, we had 7 people in the room. And another one was like 12 or 15. And then I started to work with corporations just to present the hypnosis for companies on many events. And after that, we started to do hypnosis show also on huge events. And there is an event in Poland called Woodstock Festival. Nowadays it's Poland Rock Festival. Like Woodstock.
Yes.
Quite familiar to this very famous old festival. And I was hosting my hypnosis show there for 3 years. And this year, this festival was cancelled because of COVID. And that was my biggest show, I think, because on one show I had 4,500 spectators, so that was pretty huge. When I remind the 7 people in the room and this 4,500, it's quite a difference, actually.
Yeah. So just a quick one. Brian Glenn says hello. Brian's another hypnosis trainer here in the UK as well. So hi, Brian. Yeah, there's a point, I believe, of a lot of, especially stage hypnotists, and I talked with a few guys in the UK about it, that you've got to do those shows where 7 people turn up and 10 people turn up, and it's those difficult shows that prepare you for the shows when you have 4,500 people in the audience. And I think being persistent and consistent is one of the things that has helped me be successful in what I do, by just keep going. You have a bad show, then we'll just get back on stage and keep going until you have a good show, and then keep repeating that. But it's easy sometimes to, if you have a couple of bad shows, to go, right, I'm going to give up now, especially if you're selling tickets for a show as well. It can be a bit of a challenge. So you've got comfortable doing the stages, you've got comfortable doing the corporations, and then you arrived on TV by magic. How did that happen?
Well, that was my dream. I spent about 5 years, I think, walking from TV stations to producers, and I was telling about my vision of a hypnosis show in television. And all of these people told me, no, it's impossible. No, we are not going to do that, and we are not going to do that. And after, I have no idea how many people said me no, but after some time, when I've done a lot of hypnosis show, I find an email in my mailbox that there is a corporation in Poland, like a producers company, that are looking for a hypnotist for some kind of a program. I had no idea what is that. And when we met, they explained me very easy that the lady said, Artur, no one will spend so much money for the broadcast that no one knows how it will be working. But we got a format. We got a format from United Kingdom. We can do that. We can invite you to be a hypnotist, the same as it was in United Kingdom. And the funny thing is, when I was, like walking from the producer to TV station, and they were saying no, I was coming back home. I was sitting in front of my computer, starting watching films on YouTube, and I was watching Keith Barry's movies.
Yes.
And I remember some night, it was late in the night, I'm sitting at home, looking at the screen, another company said me no, and I'm quite a little bit nervous and furious, and I'm watching this Keith Barry's movie, and I just put a thought like, Keith, I have no idea what is going on, but someday I will do the things like you. And that was a thought in my mind. And I remember the moment when the lady from the producers company called me and said, Artur, now I can tell you what kind of format and what kind of broadcast program that will be. There is a program, You're Back in the Room, from Great Britain. And in United Kingdom, the hypnotist was, I don't know if you know the guy called Keith Barry. Do you know him? And then I had, like this kind of remain that I remember myself when I was sitting in front of the screen repeating, Keith, I have no idea how, but someday I will do things like you. And I had never an idea that will be exactly the same show, but in a different country. So,
it's amazing how I was kind of say the universe finds a way of making. Once you set an action in place, it's amazing how the universe does that. And like the law of attraction. All these things, however spiritual and esoteric you want to make it, very much so that once you start to make some effort towards your goals, the universe kind of goes, okay, you've made some effort, let us make that help as well. So it's a great, we've got a clip from the show for the American viewers that are watching this and for the UK viewers that are watching this. It's in Polish, obviously because it's on Polish TV. But you can very much get the sense of what's going on stage, and it's a great example of using current things that are going on into making the skits quite interesting. But it's a really great production as well. So we're going to play that skit now, or that clip now, and I shall see you on the other side.
W środku, obok gwiazdki, znajduje się jadowity pająk. Olbrzymia tarantula. Chcesz ją poznać?
Muszę.
Uwaga. Oto i ona. Gwiazdka, tarantula, gwiazdka. Ewelina. Wystarczy ją tylko wyjąć.
Jest jadowita? Nie. Nie.
Może takim szybkim ruchem?
Nie dam rady.
Nie ma szans.
Nie ma szans.
Jesteś przekonana?
Tak. Nie.
Dobra. Dziękujemy bardzo naszej tarantuli.
Następna gwiazdka
znajduje się
ale nie jest sama.
Ale nie jest sama.
Towarzysza, a właściwie
Znowu ma
towarzyszy.
miłego towarzysza, a właściwie to towarzyszy.
Twoje zadanie będzie polegało na
wejściu
i wyciągnięciu gwiazdki, która znajduje się tu.
Arturze?
Postaw stopy płasko, postaw stopy płasko, oczy zwrócone na mnie, głęboki wdech i śpi, rozluźniając się i odprężając. Od tej pory przestajesz bać się węża, a gdy jakiegokolwiek zobaczysz, będziesz przekonana, że tak naprawdę to twoje ulubione gwiazdy telewizji i będziesz się cieszyć, że możesz się z nimi spotkać. Raz, dwa, trzy.
Poczekaj, mam dla ciebie okulary.
Do
dzieła.
Pyk. Do dzieła.
No hej, siema. Tylko gwiazdkę wezmę. Męczą was tak zajebiście. Super. Ja zawsze chciałam podejść, zawsze chciałam być. Z wami Boże, fajnie. Super, cieszę się bardzo, jestem normalnie podekscytowana. Ale fajnie. Boże, mogę już zobaczyć ci spoko.
Przed chwilą urządziłaś sobie tę uroczą konwersację?
Jestem tak podekscytowana, bo zawsze o tym mówiłam, że chciałabym Marcina Prokopa poznać i właśnie Filipa Heisera. I właśnie poznałam.
No jak można strzelił. Heiser jak nic. Dziękuję bardzo.
So yeah, really great clip there. But just to clarify, tell everybody what the premise, what was going on there. Oh, let me just unmute you again. There we go. Yeah. So what was going on in that clip there?
Well, the skit was like they had to just take a star to win the money, and the stars were putting in some different places, and then one star was in the aquarium that was the head of this pretty well-known actress in Poland. But the girl had a suggestion that that's not an actress, that's a spider, and she was pretty afraid of spiders.
Yes.
So she couldn't put her hand inside. But on the other hand, there was another aquarium, and there was snakes inside, as you could see. But the suggestion was that's not a snakes, that's her favorite TV stars, and she was very excited to meet these stars, and that's what we could see. Here was just a few seconds, but when we were recording that, she was sitting in this aquarium about 2 or 3 minutes, and we couldn't get her out because she was so fascinated with meeting them that it was something when I was doing, in hypnosis, usually when you are working with imagination and people are just getting into not a role, but to some routines and some way of thinking who are they right now, you can always think, okay, is that just faking or the truth?
Yeah.
But this is something that cannot be fake. This is something like when you can see the girl that was scared about the snakes and now she's putting her head inside and just sitting there for quite a long time. That is something that you can't fake it.
Yeah, and I always think when you can do a demonstration of hypnosis that leaves people with a profound takeaway as well. That the skit is entertaining, but people watching that go, "Wow! If that can make that happen, then maybe it can help me with this issue." And I also think stage hypnosis is such a great catalyst to help people see something like that and then go on and seek the change that they need to do. In the UK, there's always been a bit of a barrier between stage hypnotists and hypnotherapists, and I think a well presented skit, a well presented show, really does drive people towards hypnotherapists and helps everybody out, really.
Yes, of course. Well, I'm a hypnotherapist as well, and I'm the founder of School of Hypnotherapy in Poland. And I'm hosting 1 year course to train people how to be a hypnotherapist. And there is always, I don't know, perhaps in the United Kingdom it's quite similar. There is also always a discussion between people that are doing just a therapy and the stage hypnotist. And sometimes hypnotherapist claims that, stage hypnosis is doing wrong job and bad job for the therapy because, it's all of this silly things. In my opinion, these two things are working together because, of course, with the therapy, you can help with a lot of people. I love working like a hypnotherapist, but on the other hand, stage hypnotist is just something that you can find like, okay, this is shocking, this is interesting, this is something I would like to know a little bit more. And if people are thinking, okay, is it true or not? That's a great option. We can discuss, is it true or not? We as a hypnotist, we can show you, we can give you a show and you will believe that this is true. This is something like when people are seeing hypnosis in television, they already have in their mind that television is all fake, actually. It's you can put there anything. But when you are going for the show, seeing in the theater and watching or just taking a part with this show, this is something like opening your eyes, and this is the moment when you start to, I don't know if belief is a good word or just feeling that okay, that's something really huge.
And I think that's it as well. It's in the UK, we suffered from people just making volunteers do stupid things or silly things for the entertainment or of the hypnotist, or because they weren't necessarily good performers, they were shocking. But I think a well-presented skit can be both entertaining and profound at the same time without degrading people or anything like that. On your website is the details where people can get information on those training products and those courses that you're running. I do see we have got some people that are from Poland as well, so they can get in touch with you about those training courses as well. Yes.
Repeat, please, because I couldn't hear you.
Do we have details on your website about courses that you're running about hypnosis?
Well, yes. If you will take a look on my website, you will find the courses, just the offline and online as well. I got some new online courses connecting to more like NLP stuff. It's a course called Dreamers to Achievers, but it's in Polish. So the name is in English, but the course is in Polish, and it's more like about my story and my tools, how to make your dreams come true. There will be pretty soon self-hypnosis course as well. There is something about law of attraction as well. As you mentioned law of attraction here. I'm really a huge fan of that, but not in an esoteric way.
Yes.
More like kind of strategy and the way of thinking and acting, because there's no thinking without acting, or there's no result if you're just putting an accent on thinking, not acting. So yes, you can find that as well as hypnosis and NLP courses. Unfortunately, at this moment, it's all in Polish, but I'm working to produce something also in English.
Brilliant.
And the one thing I wanted to mention, it just disappeared from my mind. I have amnesia right now, because you were saying about what you were saying a moment ago, about routines and how to present stage hypnosis. We are all like working with pretty similar routines that have 100 or even more years. It's always about what is the story you are telling. It's all about the presentation. It's not about presenting routines. It's about some message that you are giving to the people and some story, some adventure that you are taking them into. This is something I really love with hypnosis.
It's and I always kind of push this message. For me, stage hypnosis or good stage hypnosis is not you get a subject to do a silly thing and the audience reacts. And it was a good example of when you were doing that segment there on your show. It's about the interaction between you, the hypnotist, and the audience, and the bits in between that. And I think that's the connection that makes it work, when the audience and the hypnotist and the subjects are in a kind of a system together, feeding energies off each other, rather than just going through routines rote. And the thing is, we all do very similar routines, but it's our personalities we put into it that makes the difference. And this is important for hypnotherapists or other people that are doing any type of presenting to improve their business. You've got to put you into it as well. So, and performing hypnosis is a great way, if you're doing it for comedy or just for demonstrations or networking, it's a great way of showcasing you as a hypnotist to potential customers. So yeah, so we've just got a couple of questions as well. Again, someone says that t-shirts.
One thing I'd like to add as well, what is the most incredible in hypnosis for me is like, you as a hypnotist never know how the people will react to the suggestion and how will they follow that, and what is the most beautiful thing, we can use similar or even the same routines, but it's always a different show, because our volunteers are making the show. That's not we are the stars, they are the stars. And this is the way what their subconscious will took them to some journey, and how they will react. This is something you never know, and I really like it. I love this part of being a hypnotist.
So someone mentioned the t-shirt again, so I'll put the link up. The t-shirt is from mindspiral.com, and Alana Jennings says you both have the little cheered bin thing, beard chin thing.
Yes,
I normally have one, but since COVID, I thought I'm not on stage, so I can grow a beard. So this is my COVID beard. But normally I do have a little thing, which is terrible because all my branding, as you can see behind me, is my little cheered bin thing, and I've now got a beard, so I don't know. One of the things that I find really cool as well with yourself, what you were saying earlier, that 12 years ago you had an interest in stage hypnosis. You went to see Christopher Caress, who's a phenomenal stage hypnotist, great guy. You went to see Christopher Caress, he trained you, or you saw his show. And talking of the law of attraction and how if you visualize things, they come about. I believe it was last week. Yes. You shared the lecture theatre, the training room, the stage as such. You shared that with Chris, and you guys put on a stage hypnosis training course. That must have been a fantastic feeling to go from there to sharing that stage. How was that?
Well, when I saw Chris for the first time, I had the thought in my mind, on this train, on the same train, when I'm staring at these photos, I was just thinking, whoa, if this is real, and if someday I will be able to do a 5% of that what I saw on stage, that will be amazing.
Yeah.
And yes, after 12 years, we were just sharing a stage and hosting our new course, the Masters of Trance, together. And this is something I can't find the words to say what's in my mind and in my heart when I can compare that and remind that that thought that if someday I will be able to do 5% of that routines and all that hypnosis abilities, that will be great. Yeah, I think it might happen already.
Brilliant. So we've just got a good evening from Jeff Bennick as well. So yeah. But I mean, I suppose that's one of the things. I mean, Chris is. I keep trying to get Chris on the show, so hopefully we'll put some peer pressure on him and we can get him on one week. But Chris is a really giving guy when it comes to stage hypnosis as well, and because a lot of hypnotists and stage hypnotists are self-employed and work by themselves, it can be quite kind of protective. But Chris is one of those guys that is very giving and very generous with his information, and he's helped me no end. And I think that's important. I think as stage hypnotist, we have got to work together to raise the profile of stage hypnosis, because what's good for stage hypnosis is someone seeing a hypnotist and a really good show and going, wow, that's a great show, I'm going to buy tickets. What's bad for stage hypnosis isn't other hypnotists taking work. What's bad for it is someone going, seeing a show that's a bit dull and going, I don't think that's real, I think it's boring, I'm not going to buy tickets again. So the better we all are at stage hypnosis, the better we all are at putting on quality shows, the better it is for everybody. So yeah.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Well, as I was asking Chris, he told me that in United Kingdom you have about I don't know 400 or 500 hypnotists, stage hypnotists.
Yeah.
Well, in Poland nowadays we have perhaps 3. Me and 2 people I was teaching hypnosis. And I have my kind of a next dream, and if we are talking about law of attraction and it works, so I hope it will happen in a few years. I'm just starting hosting workshops for hypnotists to help them to prepare their own stage hypnosis show, because I hope that in next few years in Poland it will be maybe not so huge number of hypnotists, like 500 or 400. I hope there will be a 30 or 40 stage hypnotists, and the stage hypnosis in Poland will become a kind of normal performance, like, you know, when you're walking to the cinema, theater, cabaret, you can go to the stage hypnosis show. Nowadays, now there are 3 of us, but 2 years ago I was the only hypnotist working in all of the country, actually. And you know, in United Kingdom, for you, I think stage hypnosis is pretty familiar, because in television you can see, well, Paul McKenna, Keith Barry, and all of the people that are doing stage hypnosis from the 70s or even earlier. In Poland, there was one guy in the middle of 80s. He was from Russia, and he was called Kaszpirowski. And it was totally shitty thing. Like, it was not a hypnotic show. It was a kind of a process that look into my eye, to my hands, and these hands will cure you. And no, it was totally bullshit. But he was pretty famous then. And I'm the first person after this guy that took hypnosis to the television as a kind of few episodes, because there were some parts like somebody was in a morning television presenting something, but it was the first time when all the season was shown in TV, and it's totally new for us as a society. So we in Poland, as a hypnotist and stage hypnotist, we have a lot of work to do to make hypnosis pretty easier to understand and to take part in.
Yeah, I mean, in the UK, we're lucky in a sense, but then because, I mean, we've not had, I mean, Keith Barry had his show on recently, but we still have generations now of people that haven't seen a live stage hypnosis show. And in a YouTube generation that we've got now, we do have people that aren't used to seeing this type of show live. So that it brings challenges. And of the 500 stage hypnotists we have in the UK, realistically, I think we have, I'll say 5, maybe 10 that are working regularly.
Well known, yeah.
And probably less than that are actually earning a living from it. And sometimes that brings challenges, because it then becomes about driving the price down and the quality of shows not as good. So, but there's lots of opportunities still if you go out there and create your own identity and work. If there was a lesson that you've learned on your journey that you wish that you could tell you now, that you're back at the beginning of that journey, your year 1 of performing stage hypnosis, what advice would you give yourself?
You don't have to do a hypnosis. You have to be a hypnotist, I think. It's not about...
Yeah.
Because, you know, when I'm hosting my courses, people are asking, hey, let's show us some new inductions, some new routines, let's do all this stuff. And after that, after the course, they are going to their environment and they want to do their own routines, and it's not working at all, actually. And they're coming back and asking, hey, Artur, I've done everything right. I made an induction and I just give suggestions, and why it was not working? And I'm telling them that, well, you know, you have to breathe with hypnosis. It's not about learning and doing something, repeating. You have to feel it. You have to maybe not believing as well, but you have to be in the same state as you want to take people into. So it's more about becoming than doing. And the most important thing is to just having fun with that. If you are doing hypnosis because you have to prove somebody that you will put somebody into trance, no, it's not working that way at all. You can work with hypnosis just to have fun, to giving the people the fun, and to sharing this all what you know about subconscious and this power of subconscious that we can show to the people. And it's all about just being yourself. But with this being yourself, you have to become a hypnotist in your mind as well, and in your heart especially.
Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely right there. When you feel it and you're in that flow, it does makes an absolute massive difference.
You know, I'm teaching people as well that you know, you have to learn inductions. At the beginning, you have to learn inductions, and you have to do inductions to put some people into trance. But on somewhere along the line, when you are practicing a lot, you know that inductions is actually even not necessarily, because you can put somebody into trance without any process, like you know, a hand drop or any other kind of induction as it is, because people are just following you, and you can put them into trance much easier.
Yeah. What's next for you? You know, I mean, obviously the COVID restrictions, you know, or COVID miraculously disappears. What's next for you?
What's next for me? Well, as I was mentioned before we started our broadcast, I had some plan that is going on all the time, and I wanted to do something with entertainment and hypnosis in Poland, and I think it's pretty done. And I'm still hosting stage hypnosis show, and I love it, and I will do that. But I don't have to prove anything to myself or any other. I wanted to do something with education, with hypnotherapy as well in Poland. So I found a Professional School of Hypnotherapy that we are doing in Poland right now. And I thought that if this is done, now it's time for a little bit more international work. So I would like to go abroad as well. And 2020 for me was dedicated to doing some things abroad. And, you know, I had to be a speaker the UK Hypnosis Convention and in London, and Hypnosis Congress in Zurich, for example. But we have a COVID time, and all these conferences are cancelled or delayed. So I think this will be a plan for the next year, or maybe even further. Yes, but I would like to make this my stuff a little bit more international, and to work abroad as well. And I would like to, as I mentioned, to found stage hypnosis in Poland as a pretty, like a huge market. I'm not sure if that's the good word. That I would like to train stage hypnotists and give them all I can give right now. And when I will be coming back from the abroad, from my lectures or from my shows or from my events, I would like to come back home and just to find on Saturday some theater and to go to see stage hypnosis show hosted by maybe one of my students or somebody in Poland as well. So there is a lot of stuff and a lot of work to do right now, I think.
Fantastic. So I always kind of ask guests for either a book recommendation. Now, this could be a book that has either helped you on a personal journey for your business development or personal development, or a book especially for hypnosis. So yeah, if you had to recommend one book, what would it be?
One book. Oh, that's much more difficult right now.
Do you know what? Two books then. I'll let you have two books.
About two books. I really like Brian Tracy's stuff, if we are talking about self-development. And I think this is not a book, but I have an audiobook version, Psychology of Achievement. I think Brian didn't publish a book called in that, but it was his seminar. And I remember that on the beginning of my adventure with self-development, this audiobook, Psychology of Achievement, was all the time in my car, and I was listening to that so many times, and I always found it something new. So this is for sure something I could recommend. And without stage hypnosis, just one book. I started, of course, with a huge encyclopedia of Ormond, but nowadays I feel much more familiar with Jerry Vallis, for example, or well, I have on my shelf, I have Rob de Groff, Rory Fulcher. There's a lot of books I could recommend, but I think I will stick to the Jerry. If I have to just use one, I think I stick to Jerry Vallis.
Brilliant. Brilliant. It's weird. I mean, you mentioned the Ormond McGill's new encyclopedia. It's kind of like it's the staple book for stage hypnosis. So when you're first starting out, you read it and you're like, that's amazing. When you come back to it, like, for example, like yourself, you come back to it 12 years later and you look at it and go, and you can see how far on hypnosis has gone since then. So it's a great foundation where you've got to start, but it's weird to look back and read it now. So yeah,
I have some interesting story with Ormond McGill's new encyclopedia about this first show in my life, actually, because when I was preparing to this show, I was reading this McGill's encyclopedia, and I found there a non-verbal suggestion, non-verbal induction. I've never seen that before. I've never done that before on that time, and I read that and decided, okay, that can't be difficult. I will try that on stage. Let's do it. If I'm doing my first show in my life, I have to check if it will be working. So I invited a volunteer on stage, and I started to do everything following the book. But the one thing was not working for me at that time, that this person had eyes open all the time. And I was thinking, okay, you are trying to, challenging me or something. But all of the muscle tensions were released, and all of the trances, indicators were done, but the eyes was open. And that was the first time that someone just get into trance with eyes open, and I had no idea that it might happen as well. That was first show in my life. So yes, after that I started to training a little bit more with Ormond McGill and other books to learn how to do non-verbal suggestions. Of course, nowadays I'm using non-verbal suggestions during my show as well, because this is very impressive when you are, it's usually like people are saying to a hypnotist, oh, you have to talk so much and to speak, and then you have to use a lot of words that put somebody into trance. And then you can say, no, just look into my eyes and and that's all. So that was my Ormond McGill's first practicing exercise, actually.
Brilliant. All right. Well, Artur, thank you very much for joining us tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. Some great information, some great tips there. And yeah, hopefully I shall see you soon. Either, yeah, we're both supposed to be in Amsterdam this weekend. So hopefully we might bump into each other at some point in the future at another conference, or maybe Chris might bring you over here to do some training or something. I don't know, but you know what? It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being on the show as well.
I hope so.
And,
thank you
yeah.
very much. Thank you all for being here. That was a pleasure for me to be here. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.